Lissa here for a recipe video. Today we're going to be making one of my personal favorites, which is a zucchini noodle marinara with marinated mushrooms and marinated tomatoes and onions. So yeah, I've got all the ingredients out and ready to go, and I have this awesome new machine that I was gifted for my birthday, and we're gonna try it out today on our video. We want to start marinating our tomatoes and our mushrooms so that they get a chance to get flavorful, and we're gonna be marinating them in the dehydrator so they can dry out just a little bit and warm up. Let's start with the tomatoes. Now, I like to use cherry tomatoes, and you can use any tomatoes you want, and you can chop them any size you want, but I like to chop them in half and then into 6 little pieces, and we'll add those to a different bowl. Now, you can definitely find faster ways to do this, but I like to kind of go into a meditative state when I chop my tomatoes. I can think about things I'm grateful for. I can think about how I'm so happy that I'm having a raw meal. So you can take this time when you're chopping your vegetables to meditate. If you don't have time to meditate during the day, if you don't have 10 minutes here or there, you can always meditate while you're chopping your vegetables. All right, so now that our tomatoes are all chopped, we can move on to the onion. And I sometimes will marinate the onion with the mushrooms, but I like to marinate it for this recipe with the tomatoes. So we're going to use just 1 sweet onion, and I'm going to dice it and add it to my little tomato bowl. You can make them any size you like. You can make chunky ones, you can make really super fine ones. Just depends on how much time you have and your taste. So now I have all of my tomatoes and onions chopped. I need to marinate these in the dehydrator. So I'm going to add a couple spices so that they can marinate and get a little bit of flavorful. I'm going to add some red pepper flakes, a little bit of oregano, some garlic powder. I like lots of garlic. And for this specific bowl, I'm going to be using Morta Chipotle, which is a really, really spicy chipotle powder. I'm just going to use a little bit because you don't need a lot. I mean, I like to put a lot in, but it's cold up here. And I'm also going to put in a little bit of Kashmiri. You can use paprika, you can use regular chipotle, you can use any other kind of spices that you want to put in here. Really, it's up to you. These recipes are just guides, and you can flavor it however you like. One night I added a little bit of ginger. You could add curry if you wanted more of a curry style, but really, it's up to you. But these are the ingredients I'm using, so now we will just stir the spices in with the tomatoes and onions. Now, once your tomatoes and onions are all covered really nice, you can throw this in the dehydrator for about an hour, just to get the flavors to meld together and to warm up the vegetables. The next step will be chopping and marinating your mushrooms. So I have 4 organic creamy mushrooms here. I like the brown ones better, and the organic ones tend to marinate better. I think they taste great. And the thinner you slice them, the better they marinate as well. So, but again, if you like chunky mushrooms, then go for it. If you want them cubes, go for it. I'm going to be slicing these ones. All right, once your mushrooms are sliced or diced, however you decide, we're gonna put the marinade in. I like to use a lime. So we're going to juice a lime into the mushroom bowl. And then to add our spices, I will use a little bit of coconut aminos. This is optional. You don't need to use it, but I like the flavor it brings. Probably put about a tablespoon, maybe a little more in there. And then again, garlic. I'm gonna put some garlic in there. You could put a little bit of salt in. I'm not going to because I don't normally use a lot of salt. So I'm gonna skip that, but I'm gonna put some smoked paprika. I love smoked paprika, so there's gonna be a lot in there. And because I want the mushrooms to be a little bit spicy, I'm gonna add some chipotle as well, but just a bit. maybe half a teaspoon. And then we stir them again, just like the tomatoes. All right, once everything is nicely coated, we can transfer these guys over to the dehydrator as well. Now, when I warm things up in the dehydrator, I normally warm them up at about 115 degrees Fahrenheit for about maybe 2 hours or less. It just depends on your time. The longer you let them sit in the dehydrator though, the better they tend to get. So I'm going to put them in for about 2 hours and we'll see you back when they're ready. So now that we have our tomatoes and mushrooms marinating in the dehydrator, let's make our zucchini noodles. This, again, as I mentioned earlier, was a birthday gift for me, and I love new little kitchen utensils, anything that helps to make my raw food preparation a little bit easier. And this is a mix between a spiralizer and a chopper, and it's electric. If you guys are interested, there is a link to where you can get this in the description below. Just head on down there. I put the link for Amazon if you guys are interested in grabbing it. I'm using 4 zucchinis, so I want to chop them, and I may have to chop off the side. Oh, maybe not for this one. But I'm just going to cut the ends off of these and make sure that they fit. If they don't fit, I'm just going to slice off a little bit of the edge just to make sure they fit. All right, so this is the very first time that I'm using it, so we'll see how it goes. Wow, so easy, so simple. Perfect. Let's do the rest of them. I think 3 zucchinis is more than enough. I don't need to do the last one. This is a lot. We'll save this guy for another day. All right, we're almost done. So if you guys are making this meal for yourself, I would always recommend that you obviously start your mushrooms and tomatoes about 2 hours before dinner, or you could do it at lunchtime or early in the morning and just let them marinate in the fridge a little bit and then transfer them to the dehydrator before dinner's ready. That way you can chill and relax, maybe make your zucchini noodles and let those sit a little bit if they get a little bit watery sometimes at the bottom. But then you're ready, you don't have a lot of prep left except for the sauce, which we're going to make right now. So this sauce is kind of an adaptation to my marinara sauce, which you can find in my recipe books. I have one in the dips and dressings book, and I also have a few different ones in the 30-day meal plan. If you guys are interested in those books, you can head on and grab the ebook. The link is below in the description, and you can head on and grab those ebooks. Otherwise, we're just going to go right into making this sauce. So I'm going to start with 1 whole bell pepper and 1 whole jalapeno. Then I'm gonna add a couple different ingredients. I have here a whole handful of basil. I'm going to add a little bit of miso paste. Again, this one's optional. I like the miso paste because it gives it a little bit of a different flavor. I'm going to add garlic, because I love garlic, 3 cloves. I'm also going to add a little piece of turmeric. Now, turmeric is one of those foods where I have heard, specifically from Dr. Michael Greger, that it's one of those things that we should be consuming every single day because of the benefits. There's just so many benefits that we should be eating it. So I like to add it to my evening dressings, and I will just add a very small chunk. You don't need a lot, just a little tiny bit. And then I have some sun-dried tomatoes. I have about 6 dates. And then a little bit of cherry tomatoes. You could use about 1 cup or less, depending on how much sauce you're going to make. The more tomatoes you add, the more sauce you'll have. Then for spices, I do like to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. This again is optional. I just like to have a little bit of zing to my sauce. And then to make it really red, I like to use Kashmiri or paprika. You could use one or the other. This will give it more of a red color, and some sweet paprika. You can always start slowly with the spices and then see how it tastes after. But I normally use about half a teaspoon to start, and then just pour a little bit of oregano in there to give it a little bit of an Italian flavor. Then we will use about a cup of water, maybe a little bit more. The dates and the sun-dried tomatoes are going to suck up a lot of water, so make sure that you have extra water on hand to add to the blender if your Vitamix is having a little bit of a hard time with it. So there's our sauce ready to go. All right, we've blended for about 2 minutes and it's nice and warm. Nothing over 115 Fahrenheit, remember, but as long as it's nice and warm, it should be perfect. I'm going to add this to a bowl. I'd like you to keep in mind that the sauce actually doesn't taste the same right out of the blender as it does once it's been mixed and added to the noodles. So if you taste it right away and you don't really like it, don't worry. After you've mixed everything together, it'll taste a lot different and have a different texture. So here we have our sauce. I like to mix it a little bit again to get the air bubbles out, because after it's been blending for a little bit of time, it kind of gets bubbly, and we want to kind of try to dissipate a little bit of that air to make it a creamier sauce. So just mix that just a little bit. And then here are the tomatoes that have been dehydrating in our dehydrator. We're gonna add those to the sauce. And here are the mushrooms that have been marinating. You can add the marinade sauce if you want, or you can strain it out, it's up to you. If you add it, your sauce will be just a little bit more liquidy. I like to strain the sauce out just a little bit. All right, so we've got all the ingredients together finally, and we can mix that up really nice and good. And you basically have a gigantic bowl of sauce. You could eat this just the way it is, as like a stew kind of. You could add other ingredients like more chunks of zucchini or organic non-GMO corn. You could add bean sprouts, more onion, more mushrooms. You could add really anything you want. You could chop up some red peppers, orange peppers, you could add green onions. Really, it's up to you. You can play around with the recipe. Now that it's been mixed, it smells really good, and I'm really excited to have some. So here is our bowl of noodles. And one more tip before I put this on the noodles. I don't necessarily like to mix it together because the hydration in the noodles actually creates kind of a pool at the bottom, which is fine. I don't mind that. But if you put all the sauce right at the top, in the center, you can kind of pick at the sauce with the noodles, and then you always get that chunkiness throughout the entire meal instead of it becoming kind of a soup. It's just a little side tip that I wanted to share with you guys. So let's add this gorgeous sauce to our zucchini noodles. There was a lot of sauce and it's kind of falling down the sides, but here is our gigantic bowl of zucchini noodles. Now, this is quite a bit of food for me. I will probably be able to eat about 80% of it, and which I will put the rest aside to have for later if I fill up too fast. I like to eat a lot of food to make sure that I get my calories for the day. So if you like something Italian, something spaghetti-like, and you need something comforting, this is the meal for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like to let me know that you want me to do more of these. Subscribe to my channel to get notifications for more. You can click the little bell and get notifications sent directly to you whenever I post a new video. You can find me on Facebook at Lissa's Raw Food Romance, on Instagram at Raw Food Romance, and on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. So I'm gonna go enjoy this, but I think I'm gonna take some pictures of it first. So until the next video, guys, I love you all. Fruit on.